Welcome everybody to the Alfred Research Alliance Honours Night. I'm Steve Jane, the Dean of the Subfaculty of Translational Medicine and Public Health at the Alfred Precinct. And I hope by the end of the evening I'll have convinced you that there's nowhere else you'd like to do your honours for 2021 than at this precinct. Firstly, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're all meeting and to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Next slide, please. So over the course of the next hour or so, you're going to meet some of the superstars of research at the precinct, and the spectrum of research that's delivered here is encapsulated on this slide. There's really an enormous breadth of what is offered, from basic and translational research through to clinical trials and registries, occupational environmental health, biomarkers, drug discovery, devices. Any flavour of research you like, you will be able to find it on this precinct. And not only the flavour that you like, also delivered by some of the world's leading experts in their particular fields. It doesn't really matter whether you want to do wet lab at a bench, clinical work, environmental work, statistics, public health, whatever your research bent is, you'll find it at this precinct, both within the two schools that Monash University has established here, the School of Public Health and Preventive Medicine and the Central Clinical School, but also with our two research partners, the Baker Institute and the Burnet Institute, and of course, the cornerstone of all of this being the Alfred Hospital, where all of the research institutes interface. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, who are we? We are a conglomerate of research powerhouses, the two institutes, the two schools and the Alfred. And you can see here we are all neatly aligned in a single precinct in a stone's throw from the city in the heart of Paran, a superb place to be able to do your honours year. As I mentioned, the range of disciplines on offer here are incredibly diverse, everything from leadership in cardiovascular disease, infectious diseases, public health, and every medical discipline that you could possibly imagine, from hematology to diabetes, respiratory medicine, and so on. Really something for anyone, and I think whatever interest you have, you'll find it is provided for you here in spades. Next slide, please. So we have a stellar lineup tonight. Not only the honours coordinators are here, and we'll have representatives of each of the groups talking to you, but we also have a large number of heads of departments who are going to talk to you about research within their specific discipline, and then the opportunity after that to directly question both the honours coordinators and the discipline leaders about what their research programs are like and what are the sorts of projects that they could offer you. And I've listed here the honours coordinators from the Central Clinical School, Christophe, Margaret and Vilja up the top, and Darshini, Danny and Joanne down the bottom. As I said, all available, or representatives of which will be here to talk to you tonight. Next slide, please. So apart from the breathtaking lineup of outstanding research that's available to you, we love the precinct, and who wouldn't? Despite the lockdown, we sit in one of the most superb and vibrant precincts in the country, with the surrounds of Faulkner Park, Albert Park Lake, coffee shops that we can't go to, shops that we can't go to, record stores that we can't go to, but hopefully by the time you all start your honours, those things will all be open and available to you, and you will embrace the precinct and its surrounds. And I always like to contrast what's offered at the Paran precinct with what you can get at the Clayton precinct, shown on the next slide. Factories, burnt out cars and busy roads. That's Clayton for you. So compelling reasons why, in addition to the great science that's on offer here, you should think about coming to the Alfred Precinct to do your honours next year. Why wouldn't you? It's a lifestyle choice, if nothing else. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, an incredible experience here. What will you gain apart from that awesome experience? Well, when I say world-class research, it's really not blowing the horn. It is superb research with leaders in so many disciplines here. And I think that's really been evidenced by the responsibility the government has placed on many leaders of research in this precinct during the COVID crisis. Alan Cheng, as you know, is the Deputy Chief Medical Officer for Victoria, comes from the School of Public Health and Preventive Medicine. Many of the leading COVID trials are being orchestrated and led by people on this precinct. And it's not just us saying we're good, it's people from our government and our community placing their trust in us to do research that's critical in a time of need. There's an opportunity, I think, based on that to make a real difference. One thing we pride ourselves on is our translational capabilities. And translation means we deliver from the bench or the desk into the bedside, into the patient with a shorter time frame as possible. And so the research translates into real outcomes for patients and their illnesses and diseases. And that's something I think as medical researchers, we all aspire to. So not only do you get exposure to these leaders, but you also get training and mentoring by these people. And if you decide to go on for higher degree research, then it's very handy to have people of this caliber in your corner to mentor you through in the early stages of your career. Next slide, please. So as I said, translation, I think, is encapsulated in this slide, and it's now a bit dated. House, I think, has disappeared off the airwaves, but essentially it's the movement from mouse to house, or the ability to take basic and applied research, clinical research, into patient outcomes, as I referred to, and all of the partners listed on the bottom deliver that in spades. Next slide, please. So there are scholarships available. The Alfred Research Alliance provides 2 scholarships of $6,000 each. There's a website for you to look at. And I, with great pleasure, hand you over to the leaders of research on the precinct who will, as I said, give you compelling reasons as to why this should be your choice, your preference for doing your honours year next year at the Alfred Research Alliance. Best of luck to all of you in very difficult times, but we look forward to seeing as many of you as we possibly can next year. Thanks very much.